Step in the box, baseball fans. Welcome back to another episode of Batter Up with Brett and John. Happy Sunday night, John. What is going on?
Not much, Brett. Had a pretty good weekend. Had a very, very fun cross-country race. We'll get to that in a bit. Got a funny story to tell later on. Looking forward to talking some sports cards. It's been about a week, but a ton has gone on, has it not? I mean, where do we start? I guess we agreed beforehand we were going to start with Brian Gray leaving Leaf. What do you say?
It's interesting because they are on a roll. I do think they've made their mark within the hobby. Even though I don't buy their stuff, that I give that guy a lot of credit, man. I've listened to a few interviews with him. He's pretty entertaining. They've thought outside the box. They've come up with some cool ideas. I mean, I bought a Sleepy Joe Biden card recently, so yeah. They've thought outside the box, you know. And I saw the statement that he said that he was leaving for some health related items. I don't know what those were. Spend a little more time with his family, but
it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell somebody's motives. The company I work for, we've had a couple of CEOs leave like that, and some of them go elsewhere, and they just use it as a guise to sort of get off stage. And then some of them truly have never come back. They do retire, and they just live happily ever after, I guess. I will say I've never been a big buyer of Leaf products. I've never been a consumer of Leaf products, but I give Brian a lot of credit. He is an innovator. In the space of unlicensed products, he does try to have a very good depth to his product. It's hard to pull good autos, but Pop Century has, as if I'm not mistaken, I think it has like Taylor Swift autos in it, and it's got like a lot of good people, a lot of good entertainers, and you're like, this guy gets the autos, but they're all stickers and they're unlicensed, and I mean, it has a fun factor to it. There's no doubt. And I give him a lot of credit for trying to create a niche there in that space where many, many people like a Panini who loses their license thinks they're going out of business. And Brian says, I don't need that. I can grow a business in spite of that. And I'll prove it to you. And it's kind of sad to see him go, even though I will say there were times where I was a little skeptical whether he was sort of a used car salesman, so to speak, because he was on Jeremy Lee's Live a lot. He talked very, very big game. Sports Card Investor, Jeff, just interviewed him at the National. He didn't give no indication of leaving Leaf then. But yeah, I think he'll go down as an innovator in the space, even though most of his products were unlicensed, and that's fine.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he can, some people say they're stepping away from their baby, and they have somebody else doing the work, and then all of a sudden their hands are back in the cookie jar with them, because it's after you put that much time and effort in, it is really difficult to step away and watch what you've helped create,
Well, what's funny though, I'll give you a great example of, you brought up the example of treating your baby well, right? Wasn't it true that Barstool Sports, they had sort of sold off their business or something, and then basically ESPN swooped in and grabbed Pat McAfee and like crashed the value of Barstool Sports. And then lo and behold, Dave Portnoy buys Barstool Sports again. And it's like, maybe Brian Gray's like, hey, I've got somebody who's interested in what I do, to sell high. That piece will go away, and then I'll swoop in afterwards and buy a distressed asset. That's always possible. It's also possible, like Stu said, maybe Fanatics has a couple things in the work for Brian, maybe more so in the, kind of like corporate job, less so than like an owner. But I think he's a creative guy, no doubt. He's a creative guy, and he does not shy away from having an opinion. And that says a lot about a person who does nothing but sell in the unlicensed space.
Yeah, dude. That guy thinks outside the box. I mean, he went out and got Livy Dunn to sign autographs this year. Who even thinks about doing that? But it's like that. He sees people who are hot in social media, and he's picked up some cool stuff. Again, I just never got into buying Leaf, and it's hard enough buying Topps products, staying up with those these days. But
Yeah.
I wonder if there's anybody in the chat. Have you purchased any Leaf products? I know, like, you can go out and get blaster boxes of Leaf with a couple autos and two in blasters, guaranteed.
Well, the one thing I will say that I would give Brian a knock on is, even though he has a lot of autos in retail products, and there are a lot of products that he's made, like the ticket thing, I think, where they had like the cut signatures or the cut tickets. They're creative products, but the depth of those products is very weak in retail.
Yeah.
I've seen some total trash bag. Like, why did you laminate that ticket from that nothing game that meant absolutely nothing? I'm sure there's good product, but it seems more like a mystery product to me. And I never really liked that angle of it. I was like, I think he overdoes it in retail. Overdid it, I should say, past tense. He overdid it in retail with regards to what he sold, because he's like, oh, autos this, cut signatures that, one of one, printing plate, blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do all that when all of it's a bunch of nothing. Make it count, right? Make it matter. Give people a chance with a shorter checklist, maybe less quantity and more quality. But again, that's my opinion about retail. I think in the hobby side, he's always done a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, I was just getting on their website here, kind of looking at some of their stuff, and I knew the Pop Century just came out because I saw a couple breaks yesterday.
Yeah,
and they got some cool names, and they've got pretty much any sport that you could want too: hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball. Football. Do they do much football?
They do. Yeah, they did a lot of football in the last couple years, from what I understand. I think there was somebody that they were able to get autos of that even like Panini or Topps was struggling to sort of fight over them, and Leafs like, well, we got them, and I can't remember who it was, but they do have football products every year. I think it's a Pro Set brand on one side, and then there's like the actual Leaf brand, I think, on the other side, and then there's some other ones like metal, like football metal. I guess I need to watch more breaks of that to understand what his product array looks like. But, I don't want to spend too much time during batter up. I think we spent the first 7 minutes. But
I think that's probably
we wanted to give Leaf and Brian Gray our undivided attention for a few minutes to just give you our opinion. But it's not a product for either of us. But I give the guy a lot of credit for what he's done in the unlicensed space, no doubt.
Yeah, he's been good in terms of creating a market of. I didn't even, when I first started, I didn't know who Leaf was.
Yeah.
But let's move on, man. How about Trey Lance going to the Cowboys? Some football.
Yeah, we got a lot of fantasy drafts coming up. I don't know. Do you do season-long fantasy?
You know what? I have not been in fantasy football for the last 3 years. It's been kind of nice to get back to just watching football without rooting for or against a player.
I was doing exclusively daily. I'd put in $1 single entry or $5 single entry on DraftKings once a week for fun, right? I would do the wagers, the parlays, the point spreads, the money line bets. I'd do that stuff. For the first time in probably 5 years, I'm going to be in a fantasy league this year because my brother-in-law's kept goading me into it. And my father, their dad, my father-in-law passed away this last year, and I'm basically filling his spot. So I thought, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I can do that. And I'm going to have to relearn how to play that because I haven't done it in a while. And I'm a little rusty. So, but yeah, Trey Lance to the Cowboys. Cue up your Trey Lance hype train now because Jerry Jones will talk all about him, right? He'll be like, we're really happy to have Trey Lance. He's a very important part of the Dallas Cowboys franchise and blah, blah, blah. I'm not a very good Jerry Jones impersonator, but, maybe I should do this. There you go.
What is Dak? I think Dak Prescott has 2 years on his contract. I think he's been banged up. a little bit the last few years too, so it gives
Yeah,
them a
he
little
can't.
insurance.
That's true. That's a good insurance policy to have. I think the Will Greer folks out there, like they're shedding some tears now that he's no longer on the team. I heard that yesterday. But yeah, I think, like you said, I think Dak Prescott's durability hasn't been great the last couple of years, so they did need to fill a slot. And yeah, a fresh start's always good. And he clearly, I think the 49ers are admitting they made a mistake by drafting him. But that's a tough pill to swallow. I really think that's a tough one to swallow for the Niners, even though they did catch Brock Purdy with the last pick in the draft. They traded up to get Trey Lance, and they whiffed on that one, it looks like.
Yeah, dude. They've just kind of gotten lucky, man. You get one guy gets hurt to start the year, and then frickin' you fill in everybody else, and all of a sudden you got too many quarterbacks, and then you're trading one of them. It's wild.
I tell you what, your Bears better watch out. I think Jordan Love and the Packers are going to be better than you think.
I hope not. They just can't
Jordan
get left
Love
in a third QB.
really good. He looks like he just he's figured something out. I don't know. I mean, I know it's preseason, but from what I've seen, the clips I've watched and the research I've done, he looks like he can throw the ball in tight spots. He's got a lot more depth to deal with. He's still got those two running backs, that two-headed monster of Dillon and Jones. They were able to fill in a lot of holes because Rodgers is no longer there, sucking up all that salary. I really feel like the Packers are going to be a lot better than people think. 10-7 is not out of the realm of possibilities. You heard it here first on Batter Up.
10-7. He's calling it, man. He's calling it. that division's up for grabs, so it wouldn't surprise me.
That's true. It is anybody's division. It could be. I mean, the Lions were good last year. They're building something. The Vikings were good last year, and then they crapped out early. I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't going to be around forever. Jared Goff was a lot better than people thought, and this is a make or break season for Justin Fields. And Jordan Love has absolutely nothing to lose because people already thought he sucked, and that's why they weren't playing him. He needed to play, and we're going to find out. One way or another, we're going to find out.
Can't believe football season's almost ready to go. I know everybody's starting to get into the drafts and stuff. The last year that I played fantasy football, I was in 3 leagues, and it was one of the most miserable things that I've ever done. It was like Monday night, you're rooting against certain guys. You're like, I need that guy to score a touchdown, but he can't score a touchdown on this team because I'll lose. And it just becomes – and now I just watch the games for fun. I do miss it sometimes, but –
yeah. One thing I will say, it was always fun on Monday nights when you had one guy going and one big play could win you the week. And I've had plenty of times in the past 10 years, maybe more so like 9-10 years ago, where it was one dude that caught one touchdown in the tail end of like the second half, and it won me the week. And I'm like, it didn't get any better than that.
I love those. Those are the things you really miss about fantasy football when something crazy happens. There was one year I was fighting to get in the playoffs, and we had negative for interceptions, and I had nobody going on Monday night. I had lost the game. Going in Monday night, and the guy only had a quarterback left. And that quarterback threw 4 picks in the first half, minus 8 points, and I won the game. And that's how I got in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's another thing you don't count on. Definitely. I think those are always interesting turns of events, right?
Oh, man. Where do you want to go to next? What topic?
We had somebody ask about the Ohtani injury. Want to cover that? Let me bring that up in the chat.
It's
Ohtani and his potential future value. So I made a video earlier today, not exclusively talking about Ohtani, but talking about I was opening up 5 more blasters, and I pulled an Ohtani blue. Go watch that video if you would. ERB Sports, always a fun experience. I'm having a head-to-head box battle with Brett and Peds. We're doing a case each of Platinum Anniversary. You got 5 boxes left. I got 20 left. I'll get to my point here in a little second. And Peds has, I don't know how many left, probably half a case. But anyway, going back to Ohtani, I said during the video, I said people panic and they sell because Ohtani has a UCL sprain in his throwing arm. Can't remember. Is he lefty? He's lefty, right? So UCL sprain. He's had Tommy John surgery before, but he can still play. They're not going to put him on the DL. The guy's still going to win MVP this year. He's going to have a 10-WAR season. He's going to go down as one of the most greatest 3-year runs in the history of baseball, bar none, except for the fact that he didn't win a championship. My God, if he'd have won a championship, we can only imagine what his values would be. But I don't think that was baked into the price. So the question then becomes, if Ohtani goes to a new team in the offseason, are they going to let him pitch? Do they need to let him pitch? Because even as a hitter, he's immensely talented. And I think he can still be talented even if he doesn't pitch full time. Maybe they turn him into a closer. Maybe they turn him into an every other rotation starter. Or maybe even further out than that. Maybe playoffs only, just to keep him fresh. But the guy is immensely talented. He's only 28. He's had the 3 greatest seasons, arguably in a long, long time, doing things nobody's ever done. And people are panicking because he's got a UCL sprain. I think people are overreacting. And I'll finish with this and then let you comment. If he stays with the Angels, somebody made a comment earlier in a video I watched. They actually think it hurts his value. And I kind of agree, but I kind of disagree. Because the market is great in LA, but the Angels are probably never going to win a World Series. They're never going to make it to the playoffs. And that probably could hurt his value, but I still don't think that was built into the price. So, Brett, what's your thoughts on Ohtani?
I mean, I feel kind of ripped off and bummed that he got hurt again, because we may never see a player like this ever again in our lifetime, who is Babe Ruth again, dude who's a dominant force on both sides. That guy was going to make 500, 600 million bucks. I wish I could have kept the article. Somebody had wrote an article on the stats compared to everybody else that he was worth like $750 million compared to the current day contracts and what he was performing as a pitcher and hitter. So I feel ripped off a little bit that he got hurt.
Right.
He's definitely going to lose some money. I don't care about the money. I just looked up Judge's contract. He got 9 years, 360. Ohtani's going to get every bit of that contract as just a hitter, in my opinion, too. If I was his agent right now, I'd be like, dude, you're not playing the rest of the year. I would shut him down. There's no reason to play these games. I would have your arm getting fixed right now because that's a full year. I think Bryce Harper went through the same surgery and came back and hit the next year as a DH.
Mm-hmm.
So get that underway. And then the following season, I mean, I can't think of any pitcher who's gone through 2 Tommy John surgeries who's come back and been dominant. I think I would be looking to have him be a bullpen guy, maybe. I don't know. I just have this feeling that his career pitching possibly could be over. Now, the card values, I've always said the reason that he's so valuable is he hits and pitches, but if one goes bad, he's got the other. And here is he dominant hitter. Plus, he's got the Japanese market. I just think people are crazy selling their stuff cheap of his. You know, he's still going to win MVP this year. He's still playing.
Well, they're not taking the WAR away that he's already built up, right? It's not like he's going backwards, and the stats are going to get worse. And he was already at a 9.5 WAR season, and he was three ahead of the next closest person, which was Betts and Acuna. So, I think the panic sell. I mean, if you're holding and you bought, sure, I get it. You want to move out of it. That's fine. Or you feel like you want to sell at the top. The top's already there, and you want to sell before it goes a little bit lower. Fine, I understand that. But panic selling to never buy again, I just don't get that. And we'll get to another guy that Bluegrass wanted to know in the chat, because we were talking about that before we went live, about this other team that's just white hot right now. And I don't know if you want to move on from Ohtani, but J-Rod and the Seattle Mariners, they are on fire. And he has a question, would we hold or sell Julio right now? Now, you sold a lot of Julio before the season even started. I have a lot of Julio. I have been selling some lower end stuff now that I've recovered a little. Like, the prices went up enough for me to finally say, you know what? I'm going to make money on that grading order. I'm happy to move off of some of these items that probably are a little bit more abundant. And I have a few pieces left. But I don't know. I mean, how deep do you think they can go in the playoffs? As you understand it, they're the leaders right now in the AL West. So that they could go deep, and then you probably want to have some Julio on hand in case they make a deep run.
Personally, I'm not selling Julio yet. He's still crushing it. And there's a good chance he's going to make the playoffs. The fall is the best time to sell sports cards in the playoffs. Typically, that's when I sold all my stuff, it was last fall and last spring. And those are the two best times to sell sports cards, during the playoffs or right after the MPV votes, the MVPs and the Rookie of the Year. And then right as spring training started to ramp up, those are the two best times to be selling baseball cards, because people are prospecting on seasons at the start of the year, and then they're looking at stats from the previous year in the fall. And dude, if J-Rod gets the playoffs, and it just takes a couple home runs, and he's killing it. He is killing it.
It's amazing how much of a I wouldn't say short-term memory, but how tough the market is to please with regards to expectations. Earlier in the season, you know, Julio had a lot to learn. He came off his rookie season, and they were pitching him differently probably. Maybe has a little bit higher expectations for himself, make a slight adjustment here or there. The guys usually play to their baseball card. That's one thing a coworker of mine who's really good in fantasy baseball used to say is they always usually play to their baseball card. So when Julio started ridiculously cold and they're like, oh, he sucks, he's going to be a bust. He's 22. I mean, unless he's some really shady person behind the scenes, Wander, Franco kind of stuff. Julio is on a very good team that's probably going to make the playoffs, and he was going to get hot at some time. He turned it around, and he's giving you the season you expected. He just didn't give it to you up front. He's giving it to you over the total season, and that's fine. These guys can't play off the charts to a baseball card that doesn't exist. That usually doesn't happen. That's not the way it works. Guys get 30 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 40 stolen bases. They don't keep getting 200 RBIs and 80 home runs. That doesn't happen. So the expectations of like that this guy will be different and that's suddenly going to happen. There is no manager or baseball franchise on the planet that will let that happen.
Dude, that's where like that's why Trout's values were so high for so long, because every year that dude was just hitting home runs and for average and doing everything. Pujols, when he was in his prime of his career in St. Louis, just constant. There's very few guys that are able to do that. Mookie Betts is one of those guys, and I believe his cards are undervalued myself, because that guy just keeps putting them stats. But you can go back from 2017. Aaron Judge has gone up, down, up, down. You go to 19, Tatis. You can go to Vladdy. You can go
Soto.
18, Juan Soto. Ronald Acuna Jr.
Acuna, when he got hurt, right?
Dude.
Acuna got hurt, came back last year, was very pedestrian, and they're like, oh, it's Acuna, he's over. And then MVP season. It changes. It changes on a dime. The roller coaster goes up and down, It's what's the Happy Gilmore saying? You put the quarter in, it goes up and down. You feel the flow, you go with the flow. I mean, that's the way you got to do it. You have this core group of guys that's like 10 to 12 wide, and eventually they're going to play to their baseball cards. They might play a little bit above their baseball cards. So find that range, dollar cost average, find the players that are going to have that constant drumbeat of attention in the media. You mentioned Mookie Betts. I think I heard once that Mookie Betts is one of those players, like every other year he's really good. And then like when he's not good, he's just average. But then when he's really good, he's really good. And this year he's really good. So next year he's probably going to be average.
I I just I should have just put my money where my mouth was. What at the beginning of the year when Julio was just not playing good, you could get his short prints and PSA 10s for really reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
You could get some of his numbered stuff for very reasonable. And again, same thing with Ohtani a couple years ago. You could buy this stuff low. And again, it's prospecting. If you're into that kind of thing, I'm more into the opening it and then grading it and then selling it and then moving on from it. But there are some deals to be made on some of these guys if you believe in them. And, I mean, Bobby Witt's pretty, dude, that guy's having a heck of a year. And I do believe Ohtani is going to sign somewhere and it's going to help his value. Some team is going to take a chance. I don't know if it's going to be the Dodgers, the Yankees, you name it, the Mariners, could be the Cubbies. I mean, you don't know.
I have a tendency to feel like it's going to be a surprise team that isn't a gigantic market, but is, we looked at the MLB standings, and it would have to be somebody who thinks they're Ohtani away from a title, right? And you kind of go down the list, and it's like, well, Baltimore's not going to do it. Seattle, I doubt it. Tampa Bay, no way. The Rangers are always the team that I keep coming back to because they do things like this. They signed Corey Seager. They've signed A-Rod before. They've signed DeGrom. Between the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros, those are teams that do this sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, call me crazy, but I feel like those might be two teams that might do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe the Giants too. There's a handful of teams that are example. There's a handful of teams that I could think he'd go to, and if he go to any one of those teams we just mentioned, his prices are going to go up for the most part.
He's going to go to the A's when they move to Vegas.
I mean, dude, if you
need to sell tickets, right?
If you sign Ohtani, Mr. Smith says Philly. Yeah. If you sign him,
that's another one that comes to mind.
You immediately sell a ton of season tickets. His jersey becomes the number one selling jersey, and there is some immediate excitement about signing him. And he's a spectacle, man. Like, I can't think of a bigger player right now around the world. He's got the American market, Japan market. It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, definitely. There was a comment I wanted to. Oh, he mentioned about MLB and drug testing. I know what I wanted to say. There's a special right now on Netflix about the Balco investigation. The guy, I forget what his name was, but with Barry Bonds and all the athletes that got implicated in the investigation. That's a pretty good watch, honestly. When you talk about performance enhancing drugs and or just performance enhancers in sports, and I will say that the comment's not completely off base when you say you're not convinced that they don't do some sort of slack off in drug testing, because it sells tickets. It keeps the hype going, and they kind of look the other way. They can do whatever they want. If they're catching nobody, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it is interesting how around August, September, some of these guys all of a sudden they're hitting balls in the seats like nobody's business. I mean, the other thing is they can just change the way that they prepare the balls for the game.
Yeah,
and last year it's dang hot right now. I mean, across the country and in most markets, it's pretty dang hot. It's easy to hit a ball out of the park when it's hot. So
last year they were playing that hanky panky with the ball big time. Big time. It was crazy.
I mean, April and May, you go to Kansas City, the ball's not going to fly very far. Well, Bobby Witt's hitting home runs right now in Kansas City in August. I wonder why. Because
Yeah,
it's
dude,
100 degrees there in August.
It's hard hitting in the cold, man. It
It's
is.
hard hitting in the cold. Yep, no
That's
doubt.
awesome. But while we're on the MLB still, we were talking J-Rod and Ohtani, and I mean these races. It's coming down to September. These races are just heating up. I mean, in the AL East, you got Baltimore, Tampa Bay battling out still. The Mariners and the Rangers are battling out, and Houston for the West. In the NL, there's lots of battles, man. Dodgers have it just taken care of. My Cubbies, I can't believe my Cubbies are still in this race. They've been playing some amazing ball. Jordan Wicks just came back last night. They brought him in. I'm like, he gave up a tater to Hayes right off the bat. He throws the next pitch. He hits a laser that almost hit him in the face up the middle. He walks a guy, and I'm like, this dude ain't going to make it out of the first. He gets out of the first with 1 run and then strikes out 9. You're like, holy crap. But Cubs and Brewers are battling this week. Reds are still in it.
That's a big series for the Brewers Cubs because I think they're separated basically by a series right now. So whoever wins that series is either going to be 1 game apart, depending on how that series goes, or it's going to be 7 games. You know, it could be 1 or 7, somewhere in between. That's a big difference.
The Brewers and Cubs just aren't losing series right now. So one of them's going to have to lose a series.
Yeah, I would say that the pitching is going to matter down the stretch here. I think the Brewers pitching is still pretty solid.
Oh, it's way better.
It's
Cubs,
it's always been solid the last 5 years with the Brewers. That always keeps them in it. Their bats are very weird. They don't have a standout star on offense. They just got a lot of average to above average players. You know what? You mentioned Ke'Bryan Hayes and hitting a home run. If he ever went out of Pittsburgh to another market that needed a great third baseman, like a city like Milwaukee would be perfect for him. And he's surprisingly quite good. I don't know, many people probably don't realize, like, they're like, oh, Hayes, yeah, he sucks, you know. He's a good defender, very good defender, elite defender. And he figured something out, and his slugging percentage has gone way up. Now, I don't think it's steroids because he's barely hitting the ball over the fence. He's made a swing adjustment. He's made a stance adjustment when he's swinging. That's what he alleges. I do own a lot of his cards. I have an SSP graded that I pulled myself. I've never sold it. I probably should have sold it raw, but I didn't. I got a graded SSP of Ke'Bryan Hayes. I'd love to sell it someday. So I'm rooting for the guy. I've got a lot of autos too. Maybe not a lot, but a couple. And, I've got some other good stuff with Hayes. He did play for the Indianapolis Indians ever so briefly when he was in AAA. So I feel like I have an attachment to Ke'Bryan Hayes, and I'd love to see him do well. And I'm glad to see him doing well, even though the Pirates aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, the Pirates are just bad. I just had it popped up that Ozuna just hit a home run on my Twitter. The Braves, if I saw the stat correctly, they're like on pace to hit the most home runs in a season by any team. Pretty certain that's right. Somebody can fact check that if they want. It's crazy. Hobby News Daily says this. Let's go on a little bit of Hobby News. He says, "Where's the Montgomery Club Sapphire? I don't know why Sapphire isn't out yet. Topps Chrome Sapphire. I'm surprised it's not out. I still think they're going to go to the Dutch auction on those.
Yeah.
Where's the logo fractor at?
Where's the gilded? We know that'll come out. Where's the Ben Baller? We know that'll come out. We think that will. They'll Topps Chrome anything because it's a product line. They got the dies made for them. All they have to do is tweak them. So to me, that's a simple design change that they can make. So I'm surprised those products haven't come out. I haven't been, other than the Chrome Platinum case that I bought, I haven't been buying a lot of products other than the base Topps Chrome. And I've been steering clear of everything else. I mean, I'm eagerly selling and anticipating Logo Fractor, Gilded, Ben Baller, and these other products to come out soon, including Sapphire. But you're right. It probably is going to be a Dutch auction.
Yeah, there's a couple other products coming out, like Allen and Ginter's coming out pretty soon. I'm not going to buy any Allen and Ginter. I loaded up on Chrome and Platinum. I'm going to take the month of September off until some of this other stuff comes off. I still have a bunch to open. I still have another case and a half of Chrome to open, which is awesome. But Chrome is good this year. We keep going back. We're going to be box bet on some Chrome. 1 box a piece. This product's really good. The buyback's coming up. Who's going to win MVP? Those races on the NL side are not as surefire, but
yeah, it's definitely tighter on the NL side. There's 3 guys that could easily win it. It could be Freeman, it could be Betts, it could be Acuna, and it could even be Matt Olson. But I'd probably put my money on it being between Acuna and Betts. I think one of those 2 guys is going to be the end up winners. So don't sell your Betts cards if you do open Chrome. Keep your Betts cards sleeved. Keep your Acuna cards sleeved. Keep all those good bets sleeved that you think have a chance. One of them is going to turn into a $20 bill and a $40 bill and a $100 bill. So yeah, keep that in mind.
Hobby Wax or Hobby News Daily says, "Do you have any Cosmic?" I don't. I didn't even realize it came out. But why is Cosmic so dang expensive?
I honestly don't know because autos aren't even guaranteed in that product. I don't think. It's a niche product. It's almost like Bowman's Best in a way. I don't know. I didn't buy any, but I understand it didn't actually come out. It was pre-order released, so it still will be released to the general public, and you probably get it through like your hobby shop if you want it. I know Indie Card Exchange should probably have it the day it comes out, unless it's online exclusive. But I think the only reason it had any popularity is because last year's was so popular, but it was the first year of it, so I think that luster sort of wears off. The hype is still there a little bit, but we'll see. The secondary market will let us know whether those are must buys or not. I tend to think it might be overvalued, but I didn't buy any.
So it went for $250 on pre-order on Tops. I didn't even see that come out. And then I was just looking, and a few places have it listed for $350 a box, which I don't know, man. That's a lot. That's a lot for. I think I'd rather pay $200 for a hobby box of Topps Chrome 2023.
Yeah, I would rather. I mean, I would rather wait around for a different product like a Logo Fractor if it was $75 a box, and I'd rather buy 4 of those than 1 Cosmic. Just my opinion, but unless they printed the Logo Fractor, if they made it again, I can't believe they'd only do 1 year of that. That has to be a staple that returns year after year because it was a cool product. There's no doubt.
That was a really cool product. What could have been? What could have been? We should have just only.
I should have mortgaged my house on that for a while.
We should have only bought. If I could go back and get rid of all the products I bought,
and then sold it all.
Even the Bowman, just case after case after case of Logo Fractor.
Oh man, it's what are you gonna do, right? What are you gonna do? I'm happy I got a piece of it, and I did okay on that. I definitely made money on that deal.
I think that's the important thing. You always look back and you say woulda, coulda, shoulda, but you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. You know, if you buy Logo Fractor and you just load up and all of a sudden it's bad, you're like, what did I do? But
no doubt. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the print run looks like. But luckily, they usually produce odds now a week or so ahead of time, so we can calculate that and decide if it's, did they double the print run? Did they go up 25%, 15%? Most print runs on average this year have been averaging 15 to 20% increase year over year. Nothing has gone that crazy, but yeah, they'll probably implement other parallels too to balance it out so you still get the same fun factor. And I don't know the market has to decide, how do they feel about that? Do they want the pulls to be tough with lower numbered cards, or do they want any numbered card, anything that's too much shiny, as Ziggy No would say he's Hobby News Daily. I made a video, just a real off the cuff after a Batter Up episode once. I just recorded a 4-minute video talking about Chrome, saying are we all getting duped here because it's maybe too much shiny? But I don't know. I think I was the outlier in my 5 boxes because I definitely think, like, I watched Neo Cards and Comics open up a case. He sure as hell didn't pull as good of stuff out of his hobby case as I pulled in the 5 boxes I had. And there's a lot of people that commented on those videos saying that they did not get the same. They thought I was the outlier, and I thought maybe everybody got the same thing. And I was like, well, man, are we all getting this stuff and we're all holding the same stuff? I don't know. You guys let me know, because I only watch what I watch, and I didn't watch a ton of case breaks, but the hobby products seem juiced.
Yeah, it's good. It's real good. With Logo Fractor, I think they're gonna have 1 hit per box. I think they're gonna double the price. I think they're gonna print more, but that's what I believe they're gonna do that. I think it's gonna be $100. They're gonna go from 2 hits to 1, and they're gonna say, all right, we're going to cash in on this product.
Nobody's gonna buy it then. It'll sit there. They should treat it like a Bowman Mega Box. That's what it is. I mean, it's a Bowman Mega Box, really. And those were $50. They didn't have 2 hits per box, but if you want to keep them at $50 and have 1 hit per box or 1 hit every 3rd box, it might have some staying power. It's still cool for the base cards with the 110 card checklist instead of 220. So if it comes out, we just have to pay attention to that. And if they go all 220 in Chrome and they have half the numbered hits, or half the boxes are going to have no hits in them at all, my interest level will not be as high. But Topps should know that. And yeah.
Tell you what, I don't have much else tonight. Do you?
We talked a little bit about Chrome, obviously. We didn't talk about Panini and Fanatics. We did not talk about the impending conundrum that's going on within the football card market. Now, we don't talk. It's batter up. It's not get in the huddle, right? That's not the show. Mostly it's baseball. We talk a little football. We did not talk about this conundrum between Panini and Fanatics right now when it comes to who's actually going to make the licensed football cards for the upcoming season, because it's a lot better than the 2022 rookie class was. And the autos thing is a mess. And I'm just glad I'm not a football card buyer usually. I don't buy a lot of football. I have a little bit of football and I sell some football, but by and large, I don't usually acquire a lot of football. I don't know about you, but you've opened some football on your channel, but not lately, right?
Yeah, I've opened up a decent amount of football over the years. Mosaic and Prism football. I'll open those to retail all day long. Mm-hmm. But I just want to know what it means for, like, is Panini just going to be shut down from selling upcoming products? That's what I don't know. I think Optic Football is actually a pre-order. I saw a link of that on bestbuy.com. So 2023 Optic is coming out, I believe, on Best Buy. But from now on, is any other products going to come out? I still wish Fanatics would just buy Panini.
I mean, that seems like the simplest solution, but the question is, how much is it worth? Yeah. And is Panini willing to sell it for lower than they're probably getting offered right now? Like, do they think that highly of themselves and their brand that they're holding out for the best offer, not realizing that nobody else can give you that offer? It's Fanatics paying you, or they're going to try and screw you. So you could have a case to be made in the courts with regards to them, doing unfair business practice for monopolization purposes. Fair enough. But Panini, they didn't treat the customer very well. And I think that already has gone a long way to hurt their case for forgiveness. When you think about the market and it says, well, don't get rid of my Prism, don't get rid of my Select or Optic. I'm like, no, keep all the brands, bring them back eventually. But I just want it to be done with. Maybe we as a channels would open more football products if they had football chrome for $200 a box with one auto per box.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd actually buy that. Because we sure as hell ain't buying hobby boxes of Prism or Optic or Select for almost $1,000. It's ridiculous. So I would be in favor of just settling this and bringing reasonable price back to the market. Now, will it happen? I don't know. But it could.
I would love if they would buy Panini and then release Topps Chrome Baseball, Panini Prism Baseball head to head. Similar products make less of both of them. And because I actually like Panini products, but I've always been one that I like the logos. Plain and simple. I like the team logos. And I have purchased some Optic baseball back in 2017, but any days with the prices, like, dude, Optic baseball back in 17 was like $50 for a hobby box. Like, it was incredible. But I'm not going to buy a box of Optic baseball for $150, or whatever it is these days.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would say anything unlicensed that comes out from Fanatics, even, I don't care if it has good autos in it. If it's just player licensed and you give me like the washed out pajama cards, I'm not buying it. I don't care if it's the first version of it. I really don't. I'm probably not buying it. I wish I had an example. We'll do some Topps Chrome here in a bit. And many people want to dog Topps Chrome saying it's a boring product. They're like, oh man, it's just a kind of boring product. I will say the photography in a Topps Chrome product versus Prism, it's not even close, and Chrome is way better. I love the photography that goes into most Topps products. I hate the Panini cards where you barely see the player because he's like this big in this 3.5. I mean, it's like you make the dude like that big. It's like I can't even tell who the hell that is. I hate those cards. They suck.
Yeah, with the trademark too, they get a lot of the back shots, so they don't have the front of the jersey.
Yeah.
It would just or vice versa. I wish they would just go trademark both ways, and say, hey, Panini, step your game up, make your products better. Because clearly Fanatics made this better this year. I'm hoping this is the standard going forward, that they treat every product like this. Because we just opened a bunch of 2022 Topps Chrome Platinum. Way better this year than it was 2 years or a year before.
Right.
This was better. I'm hoping they keep going forward, and because, dude, Panini products, if we complain about Topps, I've looked at lots of Panini football cards to grade, and they are tough to find cards to grade, man.
Yep. No doubt. I love the comment. I wanted to bring up more comments. I hate to pick and choose because everybody, I appreciate all the comments, but good point here about Upper Deck and Skybox. When it came to not producing football cards and baseball and basketball cards anymore. I mean, that was all true. I love this comment though by Ellie De La Cruz. As hyped as that guy is, can you imagine if he played a full season? The dude was on pace for 600 at bats, over 220 strikeouts. That's a lot. I mean, and it's probably going to get worse a little bit before it gets better because teams are not going to throw him fastballs like they were. The scouting reports get out on these guys, and as long as the pitchers don't mess up, they're going to figure out how to not let this guy just absolutely go yard on him. So I don't know. I feel like a pullback is coming on Ellie, no doubt, just because of the K rate is so alarming.
It's very alarming. On the other side of it, the dude is a human highlight reel.
Oh yeah.
Any given night, he's on ESPN Sports Center or MLB Network doing something crazy. It kind of offsets those strikeouts. We were talking on the phone the other night. He kind of reminds me of Javier Baez a little bit. Javier Baez, when he started, dude, Javi Baez was flashing the leather, making crazy plays, running the bases, hitting home runs, but he was striking out crazy. And now, who buys Javi Baez cards? I'm not saying that's going to happen with Ellie De La Cruz by any means.
Yeah.
But that strikeout rate, I would love to see their strikeout rates go side by side.
The strikeout rate cannot be 10 points above the league average and have this guy go down as one of the all-time greats. It can't. He's got to learn how to be more patient at the plate, maybe take more pitches. I understand he's trying to go yard a lot. He's trying to put on a show. I appreciate that. But yeah, he's only 21, so he might figure it out. Coaches are good. Coaches will coach in the offseason. The guy's got an immense amount of talent, immense amount of like attributes that nobody else has right now. That'll take him a long way, even in spite of the K rate, but it is alarming. And there'll be probably a lot of teams that won't touch him in terms of free agency someday if he doesn't want to re-sign with the Reds when the guy has a 35% K rate. So we'll just leave it there.
So do you want to know what we're not going to pull out of this box tonight?
Don't know. Is that a trick question?
The Adley Rutschman 101 Superfractor came out of a blaster. Anthony Devine, who's in the Chicagoland area, he's called the Divine Warrior. If you get on his Instagram, he bought that card from somebody locally, and it came out of a blaster box.
Did it really?
Superfractor 101 autograph.
Wow.
I love it. But let's do a blaster.
Awesome.
Let's do a blaster. Filmington came in. Thanks for all the comments, everybody, man. Another fun night. We've had a lot of
another fun night. Another set of good topics. We didn't even really touch on Wander. Another week goes.
On Wander.
What?
Let's hold off on Wander.
Yeah, we need more information. I mean, maybe they should make an arrest. Maybe
nothing.
Bring the guy in custody. I don't know. I mean, if they're not going to do that, then not a whole lot to talk about.
No new statements, nothing. All right.
Great.
Topps Chrome Blaster Box. We want some Ohtani color would be nice.
It's really hard to tell. I think, that one feels thick. We'll save that one to the end. Oh, I didn't even get to it. I want the opinion of the 71 people in here watching while we're opening. So my son had a cross-country race yesterday. He set a new PR. And one of the parents from the team, not going to mention any names. Hopefully they're not watching this video. They might be if they were on, because I actually commented on their team video. So they made a comment during the video that they do every race, Christopher Morel Chrome. And we were talking, 12 guys start on varsity. And, my son it's a stacked team. It's a very stacked team. And he's typically finished, most times between 9th and 12th. But there's occasions where, guys have bad days and he'll finish 6th or 7th. And, depending if guys are sick or their injuries or whatever. Well, anyway, they're at the finish yesterday. My son set a PR by 35 seconds yesterday. It's 16:47 in the 5K. And I was so proud of him. I was like, man, he's persevered like nobody's business. And when the video got posted, the mom from the video, she made the assumption that my son was not finished when she said, we've got one more out, and it's Gebhard. And somebody next to her said, no, he's finished already. And she didn't believe him. She said, no, that was somebody else. And I was like, but she's clearly got him on video. She's actually taking the video. So I saw my son in the shot, and I don't know if maybe she doesn't know who he is, but it kind of like, I had to chuckle, right? So I took a little jab and I said, oh, you missed Gebhard, hey? I'm like, well, I'm so happy he PR'd yesterday. And I actually got a like on that comment. I don't know if she actually saw me make my snarky remark, but you guys in the chat, what would you have done if you were me? Would you have made that comment? Would you have been offended? And there's one more piece of information before you comment. This is a mom on the team who happens to have the #1 female on the girls team. She's been the #1 female for the last 4 years and the #1 male on the boys team. So she has the two number one runners in the one family, and makes a comment that makes the assumption that that there's no way that Gebhard could have finished already because he never finished his seventh on the team, and he actually did finish seventh yesterday. So very proud of the result and set a new PR, 16:47 in the 5K, and onward and upward to better things. So yeah.
My box wasn't that great. I got a Francisco Alvarez rookie. Christian Merrill rookie.
Wilmington says, I'd fire up the burner account. I love it.
Riley Green rookie. My best card by far was Oswaldo Cabrera, just regular pink refractor. That's all you got to beat tonight, John. Oswaldo Cabrera, pink refractor.
Okay.
Not much else in that box.
Would an Oscar Colas pink beat it?
I don't think Oscar Colas is beating Oswaldo.
Okay, Oscar Colas pink is my best card so far. There is the chance I could pull something better.
Topps Chrome, baby.
Big Meat Pete. Were you the inventor of Big Meat Pete as a saying? Are you the only one that says that?
There was another guy that was a breaker who was saying it.
Oh, really?
Big Meat Pete.
That's awesome.
I don't think I came up with that one.
Titans, Juan Soto, Royce Lewis. Not going to get it done. I'm on to my last pack. And so far, a pink Oscar Colas is my best card. And here we go. Last pack. I've got Ivan Herrera, Matt Olson, Michael Massey pink. So I got two rookie pinks. Other than that, a couple of decent base rookies, but nothing crazy. And no hit.
Those boxes were pathetic.
Yeah, they were sponsored by Hefty.
No hits, pink rookie. Although I say pathetic, though, this is a decent card. Plus, I mean, a Riley Green, Chris Morel, and Alvarez rookie all in a box. There was also like a base Trout in there and a Pujols. So it's not like terrible boxes.
I had a base Morel. I had a base Alvarez, base Josh Young, Oscar Colas pink, base Jeter Downs. I mean, I had some decent stuff. Nothing crazy.
Chrome, baby. Chrome is king. It's fun.
It was fun.
Heck yeah. I got nothing else, dude.
I don't have anything else tonight. We're right up against about an hour. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Brett, unless you got anything, any final closing thoughts, go ahead and take us out.
No, thanks for coming in, everybody. We'll hopefully see you next week. I might have to do it for my parents next weekend. But Labor Day weekend coming up. So,
yep.
Till next time.
Until next time.
Peace out.
See you, everybody.